So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Manoj Menon.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Wow, you can't hear me. Shall we try something different? I can realize it's very cold out there. So shall we do one thing? Can we all stand up? Let's do a Scott Friedman. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Join. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I was very inspired by something in 2018. Okay? So I have never sung on stage before. So this is, you said vulnerable. I'm the most vulnerable now. So let's try. Ayo. 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 All right. Have a seat. Excellent. Thank you. 2018 was also where we relived what Freddie Mercury did, right? And what an amazing artist. What an amazing artist. He defined in many ways what customer experience is all about. For him, with the song Bohemian Rhapsody, it was about putting up a stage, putting up a concert, putting up a story. He challenged the norms of music, and everybody who said, don't make a song more than 3 minutes, he went ahead and made a 6-minute song. Right? He also taught us many other things over the course of that music career. He got audiences to be engaged with him. He, along with his people, came up with so many things that they used to do that really engaged with audiences. So I spent 20 years working for Frost & Sullivan, and I'm a researcher at heart. And one of the biggest challenges I realized was we produce so much research, yet so little of that research gets consumed. So I left after that 20 years to say, let's figure out a better way. Can I learn from Freddie Mercury? And can I make sure that we consume research in a much better way so that we can actually apply it in our daily lives? And that is the mission of TWIMBIT. TWIMBIT stands for The World is Moved by Ideas and Technology. So over the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how can we prepare for this disruptive era. This era in which technologies, business models, and companies are getting disrupted to create new opportunities for growth. So I did a quick survey. Maybe you'll not be able to see it from up there. So I did a quick survey on my LinkedIn. I invited lots of you to say, hey, other than compensation, because I know everybody has a problem with their compensation, right? Other than compensation, what is the single biggest challenge that you have at work? And guess what? The number one thing people responded, not enough learning. I'm not learning enough. I'm worried. I'm worried whether I'll be able to stay relevant and contribute to my job. Whether I will be relevant to contribute and have a job in this emerging era. So the real challenge associated with that is, while we are so busy fighting our day-to-day battles and trying to survive, we are forgetting that there is a range of new ammunition that is available. A new ammunition available for us to compete. Right? So allow me to walk you through some of the key principles that are behind these amazingly successful and high-growth companies. Right? So I looked at Amazon, and what the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, says. What he did is he went and named the building that he walks into every day, he named that building Day One. Amazon celebrated 25 years of being in business. But he wants to be reminded every day when he walks into office that today is day one of my business, and I will approach innovation and creativity with the same enthusiasm and passion that I had when I started and founded this business. Right? And that is what makes these companies so successful. So I started my career about 23 years ago. And 23 years ago, you had an option of choices, If you studied in one of the best schools in India, in India it is the IIMs, then you got a chance to work in one of the better companies, the IBMs, the Coca-Colas of this world, right? But if you came from one of the smaller institutes, then you ended up working for the smaller companies. And the business environment was pretty simple. Because the big companies acquired the smaller companies and they got bigger. Right? That's how it was. And I always thought, hey, Manoj, can you start your own company? Is it a lot easier to start your company today than it was before? I asked my professors all the time. Because I thought, oh, it was a lot easier earlier because competition was so less. But what has happened in the last 5 or 7 years? In the last 5 or 7 years, we have now a plethora of companies opening up. Because it's so easy to create a new company. You can now access the best technologies in the world that even the best of companies have access to. And you can compete with them on a same footing. So much so that if you are small, you have an advantage. You have a competitive advantage of agility, speed, and the ability to disrupt. So you have all these small companies coming and attacking the big companies and creating a phenomenon of what I call death by 1,000 cuts. Right? Because companies are not dying of heart attack anymore. They are dying of a death by 1,000 cuts. They are slowly dying. What is the first sign that you are dying? The first sign is, oh, the revenues are not growing. My profitability is declining. My staff is beginning to leave me. Right? These are all warning signs. And it is extremely challenging for us to reinvent ourselves in this environment. And this death by 1,000 cuts is not just in the financial services industry, because here I put together about the financial services industry where you have thousands of startups. They received over $39 billion of funding just in the last financial year, just in 1 year. Right? And guess what? There were also 39 unicorns in the financial services industry. And the story is no different in healthcare, in automotive, in energy. Every industry is going through that same phenomena. So what do? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we equip ourselves as individuals, as companies in this disruptive future? So I want to give you the answer. The first test you need to do to find whether you are doing the right job, whether your company is doing the right job, is to do this litmus test. Everybody knows what's a litmus test? We go back to school, we used to put a litmus and check the color of the litmus paper, has it changed or not? Right? The litmus test that you need to check for yourself and for your company is this slide. On the y-axis, I talk about value. What is the value we are creating? What is the impact that we are having on the business? And on the x-axis, we talk about the resources and investment. So normally when we do our business planning for established companies, we usually follow that blue line, a linear growth curve. So we say, hey, I'm going to invest 10% more this year on growth. And invariably, I create 15% more return. But that strategy of linear growth is a strategy of the previous era. The strategy of today's era is I need to create exponential growth. If you are only delivering incremental growth, then you are dead on arrival. Because all the amazing companies we talk about, they create exponential growth. Amazon is a $232 billion company, almost the GDP of many countries in this region. They grew 30% last year, 3-0. Imagine if the GDP of Malaysia grew 30% last year. Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine if your salary grew 30% last year. That everybody claps. Right? So how do we go about applying this philosophy in our work? Is it that difficult? The reality is it is not difficult. This is what people talk about the fourth industrial revolution. It is about the ability to use tools that give us the ability to take exponential growth. Think about the guy who used to run horse carriages. And then the guy who started driving the automobile. Right? He just moved and migrated to driving the automobile, and it allowed him to cover more distances. He was more efficient. And that is the difference of this digital economy. So there are 3 key things that we need to study as individuals, as companies, to be able to be ready in this fourth industrial revolution. Number 1, we need to study disruptive technology. Number 2, we got to study business models, because these disruptive technologies are allowing us to deliver value to customers in new ways. And number 3 is we need to study the customer journey, just like Freddie Mercury did. He was so focused on the audience experience. He wanted people to be with him throughout the song, enjoy that experience. It is not about, oh, I am going to make the cheapest music that people will remember 35 years later, right? It was not about that. We remember him because he made experiences. So how will you look at the entire customer journey and provide them that transformative experience? So let's start with the first one. The first one, the study of disruptive technology. So there are lots of disruptive technology, right from the simple mobile phone. How do I make my company a mobile-first company? How do I make my government a mobile-first government? How does everything start and end with the mobile? Because everybody is carrying the mobile all the time. Or to technologies like big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and all of that. When I talk about these technologies, people say, oh, this is so difficult. Artificial intelligence, I cannot use it. So let me try and simplify artificial intelligence for you over the next 5 minutes. So what is really artificial intelligence? Simply put, artificial intelligence is getting computers to do things that humans can do. And what can we do as humans? Oh, we can have good vision, right? We have good reasoning. We can reason with each other. I told you to stand up, you all stand up, you all responded as human beings. We have the ability to communicate, speech. How can computers speak? If they can speak, then we can connect with them a lot better. Alexa can speak, right? And the technology is getting better. And then you have reasoning and learning. The computers are learning. And now, there is a fundamental difference. Why has artificial intelligence become so exciting just in the last 5 years as compared to the last 35 years? Because I studied artificial intelligence in college. At that time, we thought it was going to be a big thing. But one shift has happened. Because in those days, artificial intelligence was about knowledge systems. We would write every possible rule as an algorithm. Oh, if this is asked, you do this. So it was very finite, So we moved that to machine learning. So we taught the computers to learn so that the knowledge sources are infinite. And that is the biggest shift that has happened in artificial intelligence in the last 5 to 10 years. And that is why it is growing so rapidly. It is growing so rapidly that it has permeated our everyday life. And we are using it so much that we don't even realize. Let's take the example of Netflix. Why Netflix is so successful? Because it has got embedded artificial intelligence. When you go on to Malaysian Airlines or when you go on to Singapore Airlines and you put the video up and you try to select, how is it organized? It is organized in an archaic manner, right? Drama, TV, movies. But what does Netflix do? The first thing Netflix asks you is recommended, right? What do you like? What kind of movies you like? They take that and they have created a recommendations engine because they have said, oh, there is somebody like Manoj in another part of the world who seems to be watching similar movies, right? So can I use that recommendations and give it to him? And guess why? It is so successful that 3 out of every 4 things that you watch on Netflix is through recommendations. That is why our experience is so unique. 1/3 of all the shopping that happens on Amazon is through recommendations. We don't even realize it. We are buying things that they recommend. So much so that Amazon today has got a patent called anticipatory shipping. You know what they do? They ship the product to you even before you buy it. Because they know you're going to buy it. It is waiting outside your doorbell. Right? So that's, 1/3 of all marriages in the US are happening on the internet. And guess what is powering them? The recommendation engine of artificial intelligence. It is the truth, right? And then there are chatbots and junk mail. So all of this sounds difficult, but you know what? The technology is so close that we don't even realize it. Amazon now provides artificial intelligence services on demand for you. So you can swipe your credit card and you can use some of these services. You don't even need to be a programmer. They have made it that easy. They made it that easy. So for example, you want to translate some text from English to French or Chinese. They give you 2 million characters of text free every month. And for extra 2 million, you pay only $15 a month. Can you believe how cheap they have made it? How easy they have made it to access? So all you have to do to learn artificial intelligence is to learn to drive that car which I was talking about. And if you can learn to use it, then we will have that exponential growth curve. So they have things like Amazon Comprehend, Amazon Forecast, Amazon Poly, Amazon Facial Recognition. They've made it so easy for us to be able to integrate and use these tools. So I hope I have simplified some of the myths that you have had about artificial intelligence, and can you go back and integrate it into the way you work? The second pillar is about business models. Because what these technologies are doing is they're able to combine together to create value for our customers in new ways. So there are three essential pillars of new business models. Number one is everything is going to pay as you go. That means we don't want to buy anything anymore. We just want to consume it. Grab. We are just consuming the service. I don't want to own the car. In the future, television will be pay as you go, phones will be pay as you go, everything you name it will be pay as you go. So much so that even underwears or innerwears, we say pay as you go. Right? So there is a company which came up and said, hey, it is so cumbersome, you don't get the choices, I need to buy them every 3 months, I'm so lazy to do it. They created an app, they ship it to you, you can select and they will customize it. They started off doing women, now they even sell for men because they realized men need it more than the women. Right? The second thing is about, we call it co-creation. You can never do everything yourself in your company. You got to open up. You got to allow people to innovate on your platform. You have to create and leverage the power of partnership. You have to collaborate, which was mentioned earlier today. And the third one is about personalization. How do I personalize it for everybody? They should feel that I have created that service only for that person, n equal to 1. And r equal to g is resources are global. Right? So those are the second pillar. Let's now quickly move on to the third pillar, which is the study of customer journey. And this is a big shift because, customers don't just want the product anymore because every company is making the product. There's no differentiation. If you take away the brand name and the logo, frankly, every bank maybe is almost the same. You cannot even tell, right? Every telecom provider is almost the same. In the study of top 50 brands in any country, most valuable brands, sorry to say, telecom brands don't come in there because we are all unhappy with our telecom brands. I won't say banks today because I know we have a few banks in the audience. But we have to study the customer journey and see how can we give an experience to the customer. So let's take a few industries and try and see what does that mean. In the healthcare industry, it is not about treating people after they fall ill. Can you actually keep people healthy? Wouldn't that be so cool? Wouldn't you pay maybe 500 ringgit a month if the hospital says, I'll keep you healthy. You don't ever have to visit me, right? So what do? I study the customer journey and make sure I keep him healthy throughout. I focus on prevention. Let me give you another example, and this is how Amazon thinks about a customer journey. So they take, hey, I have to play in the automotive industry. If we were Amazon, what would we think? Oh, let's go and sell cars, right? But they don't think like that. They say, hey, what does this consumer do with the car? How important is the car in the person's life? Can I study that entire experience? Oh, it starts off with the customer wanting to buy a car because it's the single biggest investment other than property, right? So Amazon vehicles, you can go, you can select, you've got videos, all kinds of things to help you make the right decision. But they also know that it's not likely they will buy the car on my platform. It's okay, no problem. But I give it there because I want to connect with that customer. Then they go to Amazon Garage. We all have lousy experiences with our garage, right? You go to the mechanic, you never trust him. He sells you a part for maybe double the price. Can I change that? Can I make sure that I get the part, the original part, at the right price? and they ship it directly to the garage. Predictive, anticipatory, right? So you order it, they can deliver it in a couple of hours, and your car will be repaired and fixed. The third thing, they said, oh, this consumer spends a lot of time in the car. Let us partner with the car manufacturers. Let's put Alexa in the car. I talk to Alexa. I'm on the way to work. Alexa tells me, hey, your Starbucks is on the corner. Would you like to keep your latte ready? It is really happening today in the US. It is happening today, right? Alexa is listening and contributing and making your lives better. They even looked at the cars and say, hey, these cars are lying in the garages all the time. And on the other hand, the receptionist in every office of Setia and Maybank and all of them are very busy these days because they're collecting parcels from Zalora and Alibaba and all of the places, right? Can we make their lives better? So what they did, you know what, you tell us the GPS location of your car, and I will ship the product to your car boot. When I reach there, you allow me to open the boot, I'll put the stuff there. So if you left in the morning, it was your anniversary, you're picking up your wife for dinner, and you forgot to buy something for her, Alexa is available to rescue you. Because Alexa will deliver the product, your gift, in the boot of your car. You take your wife to the car and say, hey, honey, wait, I got something for you. Right? So look at how they are looking at the customer journey, end to end. Right? So are we thinking about our customer journey? Since we have a lot of bankers in the room, I said, let's put a banking story. Right? One of the finest examples of a bank which is trying to disrupt itself is Sophie. It's called student finance. So what they did is they came up with the idea saying, let's change the way we interact with the customers. Right? So first thing they did is, let's go to the alumni. The alumni will give funds to lend money to my students in my college because I'm familiar with the university. Right? And then they give a better return than the bank to the people who fund it. Right? But that was not the innovation. The innovation was, as students, it takes us about maybe 6 weeks to get a loan approved. But if I'm getting into a good university, do you think I'm going to run away? Can't you give me the loan right away? So they approve the loan in 15 minutes. Isn't that cool? It doesn't end there. They say, hey, the student is just the beginning. He's just beginning to make money. I want to have a lifelong relationship with him. So what do? When the student pays off the loan, they throw a party. So every 3 months, they throw a party of everybody who pays off the loan. What an achievement. You have paid off your loan. Let's celebrate together. Right? Not only that, they have created a series of things that they do now to provide career coaching, to provide member events. Students want to become entrepreneurs. I support them. Right? They have gone so far ahead, sometimes it's really wild. They say, get social, find a spouse. Scott Friedman, go to school, you will find a spouse. Start a business, land a new job, right? So think about how they are thinking about the journey. Now, it is not just Surfy. The company DBS Bank has launched a marketplace. Not because they want to sell things there, but they are worried. They are worried that all the small and medium businesses are doing everything on Amazon and Alibaba, and they will not do business on my platform. So I've got to be better part of that journey. Right? So they have created a marketplace for property, car, travel, electricity, etc. Home credit in Philippines, less than 6 years in business. Guess what they're doing? They're giving loans, approvals in 1 minute. 1 minute. It is so efficient that 30% of all appliances in Philippines are bought using home credit. Can you imagine 1 minute approval using data science and a little bit of artificial intelligence? So much so that 22% of all mobile phones sold in that country is now on home credit. And that is why they have 70% growth year on year, exponential growth, right? So that was the study of customer journeys. So what I want to do is, while we talk about these things, then people all say, hey, how do I apply it in my career? Because my company is not going to do all this. My CEO may take some time to bring about this change. Can I do it at the individual level? So I said, yes, we can do it. So I got you 3 things that you can take away from this talk. Number 1, become a superhero. And I think you can do it because all these technologies are out there that you can swipe your credit card and use. Leverage the power of technology to deliver exponential growth for yourself. Study these technologies. Learn to drive that goddamn car. Otherwise, you will be driving horse carriages and no customers will be in it. Number 2, what does business model innovation mean to you? In your business unit, in your personal career, can I deliver value in a unique manner? So I take something like, for example, if I'm in the HR team, what does business model mean to me? It says that majority of workers will be freelancers in 2017. That means I don't need to even hire more people. I need to create a platform of workers because these freelancers, they invest more in themselves than full-time employees. Because they need to find and hunt for the next job, the next assignment, right? So if you are a great HR person, what do? Hey, I need to create a system that I have a pool of Grab kind of drivers and others who will work for me in a most efficient manner, creating value for me. Right? Just one example. I'm sure you can apply that in your legal profession, in your, every single career track in your company. I'm sure you can think about how to look at that value differently. And the third one, irrespective of what role you play in your company, you can own an employee journey. You can own a customer journey. The managing director or CEO of DBS Bank, he forced 300 of his top recruits, 300 of his top people, each one had to own a customer journey and report on the progress of the customer journey every quarter. Without fail. Each one was given the responsibility to work directly with an IT person to say, improve this customer journey for me. So I do think, guys, knowledge and technology can really help us achieve the business outcomes that we want. Thank you very much. Have a great conference.